satsang. Just a couple of words for people who may be new here watching this. That if you have any questions, you can pose them by speaking your question or by writing your question in the chat box. A few words about satsang. So satsang is a looking within, it's a turning within, and conducting an inquiry into what am I truly, into the reality of your experience. So it's about awakening to our true nature. Awakening from the dream, awakening from the illusion of a separate self. Everyone is called to this awakening, but although everyone is called to this awakening, only a few can hear the message and have the maturity to contemplate themselves, what they truly are, what their experience is. It is not for the faint-hearted, and it's not for the light-hearted. You could say that this is serious business. The only real business at hand. The inquiry into the self is your own business. It's up to you to conduct it any way you want and to approach it any way you want. You're better off putting it on the front burner and making it your sole passion to awaken from the illusion of separation, to awaken from the impression of being a separate self. No one will do it for you. It is up to you to awaken. The self that you awaken to is what you truly are. It is already free and unburdened. What is burdened is your thinking, it's the mind. Thoughts that you believe to be true are your burden. And the primary thought is that you are a man or a woman. And upon that belief, it's downhill from there. The belief that you are a separate self has no foundation. It's made out of thoughts and feelings. And these thoughts and feelings are nothing. They're not what you are. The truth that you are cannot be put in words. The reality of the self is wordless. And all the words that we share are simply pointing in that direction and arising from the source. So it is the source speaking, somehow forming vibrations that are comprehended. There is certain sound vibration that carries in it the melody, God's melody. And you recognize God's melody because it resonates within your entire being, which is not a human being. It's the wordless being. One could say the universal being. That is boundaryless, edgeless, that has no beginning and no end. The unborn reality of I am. This teaching is your final teaching. It's not an interim teaching. It's not a partial teaching. It is the direct path from the source to the source. So you need to let go of everything that you know, all the borrowed stuff, all the inherited stuff. Because this journey is for the unburdened. You travel without carrying any luggage, no backpack, no knapsack. And you travel without collecting anything. You remain empty-handed. And it's a journey of letting go, letting go, and letting go. Yes, Shiva. You wrote something, dear Magdi.
I'm just in the process of writing in Magdi, and I clicked too early, so give me 1 second, please, okay?
Okay.
Love you.
You too. Anything that you carry along with you any beliefs, any ideas, anything that you cherish that is phenomenal, whether it's your position, your family, your history, your spiritual attainment, everything that you cherish that is phenomenal refers to you as a person. And maintains you as a person. What you seek that is phenomenal maintains you as a body-mind impression. And that's the root cause of your misery, the root cause of the misery that we see everywhere around us. You have to go to the source and uproot the core belief that you are lacking anything, that you need something. We have to trust the teaching and live not from the position of need and lack, but live from the position of love for truth, the not knowing. I am open to you in my not knowing, my not knowingness. It's a surrender, a complete surrender to the mystery of being. That is hidden at the core of my experience. The reality that perceives is hidden at the core of my experience. So the invitation is to awaken to this inner reality. And to do so, you need to let go of the past. Anything that has an inkling of past in it, let it go. Remain unborn. Formless. The vastness of being. The inner peace. Cultivate the inner peace. That is not causal, does not depend on wealth or health or any situation. So Shiva, you're right. Dear Magdi, would you please speak to me, to the me thought versus the me feeling, and the differences and ways of overcoming them. There is no me. In other words, there is no separation. There is no internal reality and an external reality. There aren't two realities. It's important to understand that. and to meditate upon that. Now, the me impression, meaning the impression of separation, which is the identity, the me identity, has two components. One of them is the mental structure, thoughts, memories, images, the subtle realm of thought. So there is a thought which has no evidence to it. When a thought has no evidence to it, we refer to it as a belief. So it's a belief / thought that whatever I is, I refers to the reality, which we refer to as consciousness. So the thought and the belief that I is born, and that therefore I is a body, mind, a form, is what we refer to as the I thought. And the I thought is the impression of separate me. It's a belief that I am this body mind, you are that body mind. And given that I am this body mind, I'm a separate entity, a separate self, a separate body mind. There is the external world. And when there is that belief, our perception is channeled through this belief. So we perceive via that belief an external world. The tree is out there, the house is out there, the car is out there, and I am in here. It is important to contemplate this belief structure. A belief structure arises moment by moment as the thought, the I thought. The I thought, we have become so habituated to it that it's running very low volume. We don't notice it almost. But truth lover notices it. Because when we love truth, we are an explorer. We are exploring. We are a pioneer of truth. So we are looking everywhere. The I thought arises, is perceived. Given that it's perceived, in other words, I am the body, this thought is perceived. Given it is perceived, it's a form. It has a beginning and an end. And whatever is perceived, you can be without it. Because it can arise and it can end. Whatever is perceived, you are not it. It doesn't know you. And you can be without it. It doesn't know you because it is you that know it. You perceive the thought does not perceive you. The thought is known. It is not knowing. It is a form, it is an object, a subtle object. And you can be with the object, or you can be without the object. In other words, the object could be on board, the thought could be on board, or the thought could be absent. So in your contemplation, you open yourself to the possibility of being open. You open yourself up to the possibility of the absence of the thought, of the I thought. Because it is inevitable that any form can be present and can also be absent. So we say yes to the absence of thought. We already said yes to the presence of the thought and the understanding that I know the thought, but the thought does not know me. Given that I know the thought and the thought does not know me, whatever the thought says about me would be quite suspect, because the knowingness is only one direction, from the self, from I to the thought, not from the thought to I. I am the knowingness, I am the perceiver. The thought is not the perceiver. The other aspect of the me, of ignorance, of separation, is the sense of me. We have already talked briefly about the possibility of the absence of the thought, the I thought. But then there is the me feeling. The me feeling is the sense that I am here in this body, sitting in this chair. It's made out of feeling, sense, and me sense. There is like a me sense. And when we explore the physiology, we explore the body space, we can notice there are a lot of contractions within the body that maintain the me. Some people hold themselves like that. There are in the body embodies the me rigidity, the contracted personal, separate personal self. Don't forget that the personal self is just made out of seeking and resisting, wanting what is not here and not wanting what is here. And both the wanting what is not here and not wanting what is here are contractions that are registered in the body. Now these contractions, this me sense, is also perceived. It's perceived more readily by truth lover than by somebody who's just interested in the world. Because as I said, the truth lover is in inquiry, is looking, is investigating. So the me impression, the sense of me, the me feeling arises in your life. You may sense it in your body. And it's always an unhappy sensation. It's never a happy sensation. And this me feeling is also a form, an object of your perception. It is a subtle object of your perception. Similar to thought, but it lingers much more than the thought. In the body, there is a more of a lingering of of the appearance than a thought. A thought is more furtive or volatile than the feeling in the body. Nonetheless, it is an appearance. It is an object of your perception. Any object that you perceive, you know it. It does not know you. Given that feelings do not know you, whatever they say about you would be very suspect, because you are the knowing. You are the knowingness of the feeling. You are the knowingness of the me sense, and not the other way around. Zoe, I saw your question. I'll come back to it in just a minute.
So Magdi.
Yes.
Yep.
Can you hold your questions just for 1 minute, Shiva, because I just have one more thing to say.
Sure.
Okay. So, like we were talking about the I thought, to be open to the possibility of the absence of the I thought. In other words, that you can still be in the absence of the I thought. Similarly, it is important to be open to the possibility of the absence of the me feeling. So you say yes to being free of the me feeling, without the me feeling, being with the absence of the me feeling, irrespective of what thought is saying, what sensation is saying. You are open to this possibility. This openness is very important. It is an invitation at a deep level. You know that you are without the me feeling in deep sleep, and without the I thought in deep sleep. But we are open to the possibility of being without the I thought and without the me feeling beyond the deep sleep state. Yes, Shiva.
So when we talked about this, Magdi, a couple of days ago with Tara, you were saying that that the me feeling was generally what was leaving after the me thought was sort of dealt with. And it makes sense to me while you were talking. I had never really made this distinction so much, but when you were talking right now, I felt like it makes sense because we learn about truth through the words of a teacher or through a book. And then we first start processing it intellectually and understanding it and saying yes to it. And then noticing, working on the thoughts, working on the thinking, working on communication and stuff like that. I think Tara was saying that there was still this lingering of a me feeling every once in a while, and how it makes sense because the feeling is really what relates to the physical body, and that is something which is trained maybe even before the mind is trained to sort of realize, okay, this is related to this body. And I just, while you were talking about this so beautifully, understood that it's not about not feeling. The feeling itself, which appears spontaneously in the body, let's say a muscle ache or a feeling of having eaten well, or satiation, fullness, or whatever the feeling might be, is perfectly okay. It's just this automatic connection to my body, which is the issue, right? Do I see this correctly?
Yes. The sense of self, the me feeling, has within it a sense of limitation, and a sense of angst, and a sense of something is lacking. So behind all this feeling, or within this feeling, there is this this impression of being embodied, of being in the flesh. While if you eat and you feel satiated, that does not relate to the impression of being embodied, or being in the flesh. It's like experiencing heat when the temperature rises, or experiencing, as you said, like your toe hurting when you stop the toe. it does not refer to the me feeling. It's just an expression that, like the weather, that is appearing like the weather. So it's an impersonal sensation that can become a me feeling when we start turning it into, oh, why is this happening to me? Why do I keep why am I not more careful? Why did she put the chair there and she knows that I'm walk by here, etc.? That's when you're adding to your toe that is expressing the nerves expressing whatever they need to express. You're adding to that the me feeling. So the ignorance is made out of beliefs and feelings and sensations and bodily sensations. So, and when I speak of them as two sort of aspects of ignorance, there isn't like a rigid line between them. It's porous. So when you're working on comprehending at the same time, it has an effect on your posture, your breathing, your how you hold yourself. The more you become understanding that you are consciousness, you find that your shoulders open up more, your spine straighten. Just using it does have an effect on the body and how you're feeling. How the body is channeling the energy. The knots start to loosen. But there is an entire body of work, the yogas, that relate to specifically to the loosening of the contractions and of the knots, the me sensations within the body. And also life will present you, even upon your understanding that I am consciousness, and still the me sense is remaining. Life, you could see it in life. Somebody cuts you off in traffic, or somebody doesn't laugh at your joke, or somebody takes something that belongs to you. You will find that these circumstances may trigger in you the me feeling, and you may engage into, oh, why is this happening to me? Why is he doing that to me, etc. Which you're basically maintaining the me and the other. Or you could, of course, lock your door if you need to lock your door, and experience this release, this sensation, this expression in your openness, as your openness, an invitation to release the sensation in the space, and not to sort of try to fix it, because in trying to fix it, behind that there is the impression of me that needs to fix this, or else, or if I fix it, then things will become better for me. So rather than engaging with the vasana as a person, you engage with it as consciousness. And the way consciousness engages with the vasana is primarily by recognizing itself.
Yes. Sorry, go ahead. When we talked about this, I was actually a little surprised, because I never really made a differentiation between the me thought and the me feeling, because for some reason there was always a feeling, like using words, there was always a sort of like, I guess, an opinion also, that me, the separate identity, is always a thought. So it would be a thought superimposed on a feeling. Let's say something hurts, and I say it hurts me, or why does it hurt me? It shouldn't hurt me, or something like that. So if the feeling is just pure and sort of quote unquote left alone on its own, then it can just sort of evolve and disappear, and there's no me attachment to it, so there's no suffering. There might be pain, but there's no suffering. So I never really thought of it on terms of like me thought and me feeling, you know. So that this is why bringing this up is such a great topic, because it's not about cerebralizing it and say, oh, what I name it or not, because on another level, we know that the body is a storage space. So if I'm identified with my physical body for XYZ 50 plus years, and then I become up, there's an awareness of like opening up to truth, etc., there might still be within the physical body storage, like what we call vasanas, which at some point are released, and they might manifest as a feeling. Like I feel, you know, coming back from Washington, I'm like, oh, it's so cold here, and there's a, you know, oh, I'm not in the presence of loved ones, and there is a lingering little feeling. It's not even necessarily something which is named or labeled, yes, or even like conscious as a thought, but it's just this sort of like, you know? And I realized, okay, this is a vasana, and then in the moment where it becomes aware, it can dissolve. So it's a funny thing. It's like, it's very difficult to say what is the thought and what is the feeling, really.
Yes,
you know?
And maybe you don't really need to, but
yeah, sure.
So at the thought level, there is the thought, for example, you know, I like this and I don't like that, and why is he doing this to me, and why am I not having a better life, etc. These are I thoughts, right? And we can, you know, when we are attentive, we can notice them, and we can notice the unhappiness that they are. But also there is a lower volume, like a silent, not completely silent, obviously, hum that I am me. And that's not even noticed. I sometimes speak about, like, when you start your engine in your car, the car is idling, but you haven't pressed on the pedal. You're not going anywhere. You don't notice idling on the car because you're just not moving. You're sitting in the car. There is no driving. That's similar to that. The I thought that is at its lowest humming level, and then when you step on the pedal, then you say, "Oh, we are driving." I mean, the car right now. Now the car is, you know, it's fun. In fact, it was already, the engine was already operating, and so you can notice the I thought as it's arising. For example, I don't like my neighbor, you know, you don't like my neighbor. You can notice that thought. You can notice the thought, oh, gee, I'm getting more spiritual. But you don't notice that the I refers to body mind. So in satsang, we always it's a reminder that there is only one true I. There aren't two. That the I that is assumed to be this body mind, that's the humming of the engine. That's the revving of the engine that you don't even notice. The idling of the engine you don't even notice. And you notice, of course, what arises from that. Now at the feel, and that can be loosened, both the I thought that is more perceivable and the idling I thoughts. They both can be addressed in our contemplation of the thought that says, I am a body mind, is a suspicious thought. To believe a suspicious thought is not very smart, because the thought is known is not knowing. So we get smarter and smarter in our discernment concerning I, what I means. Now, at the feeling level, at the sensation level, there are louder expressions of the me in the body. And there is also the idling me sense in the body. So we move around in the world like we are the body. But that's not even noticed. What we notice is, when somebody, insults me, and then the body flares up in a defensive, justifying, blaming, whatever. We notice the feelings when they arise, of course, and the emotions, of course, the negative emotions when they arise, the anger, the jealousy, the envy. Now the body level also, there is a contemplation that addresses the vasanas when they arise in the world, when somebody disappoints us or lies to us or cheats on us, and the me feeling arises to release it in the space and to do the contemplation of what am I truly. That consciousness is never insulted. What is it that's being insulted? Consciousness doesn't get upset. What is it that's getting upset? There's no need to hold on to that. You remain as consciousness and you let it go. And then there is the more subtle me sense. And the me sense, it thins out. It's a package deal. It thins out in your contemplation. And let's say it is slain by grace. It can be a sudden slaying, or it can be a losing your breath, breathing less and less until it fades away. And at one moment, at one time, there is a recognition of the, well, in the Buddhist they speak about the other shore, that you, so traveling to the other shore is the recognition of being that, of being the self. And the me feeling is no longer on board. So, yes, it's not sufficient to become enlightened. You have to realize the self. Realizing the self is being the self, and is the death of the me impression and the me feeling.
Beautiful, Magdi. Thank you so much.
Okay. Zoe, I had noticed, let me see if I can go to it. Oops, okay. Okay. Is it? Yeah, I think it's this question. Okay. Yeah. That's. For some reason, I am unable to copy it. Let me try one more time. Why is it doing that? Okay, well, Zoe, I'm unable to copy and paste the question for some reason. I'm going to read it, yes? Let me see. Okay. So, Zoe, you write, "Hi, Magdi. I'm wondering about pain in the body. It disappears when I sit in silence. The pain in the body dissolves. It seems that pain is imagined, illusory, projected, and is not real. It too comes and goes. Just wondering why I only experience pain in this particular body and not in others' body. Is that just real? And pain in the body is only experienced when there is identification with the body. Thank you for being here with us. Well, your body apparently has a cold. Yes, there is a body does have a cold. So, first of all, Zoe, the pain in the body is not only experienced when there is identification with the body. Pain in the body has many different sources. You could have eaten something unhealthy, or you could have had one of your some deficiency in the body, and some of your organs is not functioning correctly and is flaring out. So, no, the pain in the body can have body physiological reasons, and you should be looking at the pain in the body more closely than just about identification. Now, there could be a psychosomatic condition. I'm not speaking about you, I'm speaking generally, where we may be overly preoccupied with our body, and then we sort of every little thing becomes exaggerated, and we start think that, oh my goodness, what's happening to us? And so some hypochondriac situation. Then we need to be relaxed about our body, and what may help us is to understand that I am not the body. In hypochondriac situations, we are very identified with the body, and we believe and feel that anything that happens to the body is happening to me, and we're unable to dissociate or separate ourselves from the body. We are so identified. So the contemplation of what am I, that I am not the body, I am the caretaker of the body, would be a good way to look at the body, and also to understand that the body, nobody dies healthy. The body is bound to die, and usually there is some pain, and there are a lot of pain medications and pain remedies that help, that are helpful. Now, identification and pain usually, when we have a certain pain in the body, physical pain, let's say, and we contract around it, we don't want it, we start to complain about it and blame people about it, and we're adding to the pain in the body, we're adding the unhappiness. We are adding a dimension that is making things worse. And because the body is trying to heal itself, when you're adding in the body this inner resistance and this inner unhappiness, you are so the body then is less free to assist itself. It's less free to heal itself. It has that to deal now with the added nonsense, the psychological arguments and the discontent and the complaining. So that would be the identification part that now you say that when you sit in silence, the pain disappears. So therefore, if that is the case, well, sit a little bit more in silence. Sounds good. And see if you can bring some of the silence that you experience when you are sitting in silence. Bring it in your daily activities. In other words, as you are acting, as you are speaking, as you're interacting, you're also aware of that piece. So you may need to move a little slower, maybe a little bit more carefully, maybe take your time in listening, take your time in expressing, so that you can bring into your daily life some of the silence that seems to be, according to what you are saying, healing for your pain. I wouldn't jump to the conclusion that pain is illusory or imagined, projected, and not real. Because you're experiencing it, and whether you call it real or imaginary, I don't know if that would be helpful. I find the fact that silence relieves that pain, I find that to be quite significant. And not just thinking about, oh, it's imaginary or it's not, or real or not real. It's an appearance, obviously. It's something that appears to you. Reality is never something that appears. So in a way, yes, physical pain is not real, meaning it's not eternal. What is real is always there. And what is real is there everywhere. It's real in Honolulu, it's real in New York City, which is consciousness. Only consciousness is real. So you could say that the pain is imaginary in that that it is an image. It's an appearance, and all appearances have their own dynamics. Like a thought arises and has its own cadence, its own life, and then dissolves. Pain in the body usually has also a certain cadence, and in time it dissolves. So yes, it comes and goes, but that's true of all phenomenal experiences. Okay, and then you have the question, why do I only experience pain in this particular body and not in others' bodies? Okay, in this question, Zoe, the I that you're referring to is the mind. So the mind is local, meaning the mind, I'm perceiving right now this perception. You're perceiving a different perception, a different couch, a different chair, etc., than the one I'm perceiving. So the I that is perceiving the pain in the leg here is the mind. And Zoe's mind and Magdi's minds are not the same mind. They are different minds. Like on the tree, you have 100 leaves. Every leaf is a different leaf. But although all these leaves are different leaves, they are nourished, they are part of the same tree. So although Zoe's mind and Magdi's mind are different minds, they are part of the same consciousness. What matters is that you are clear about what you mean by I. So I as mind is local, and I as consciousness is universal, is borderless universal. So there is one knowingness, and the knowingness knows itself via infinite minds. A good metaphor of this, Zoe, is the electric grid. If you look at the electric grid in your house, there's the same electric current that is providing juice to the electric fan, to the lights in the bathroom, to your telephone that is being plugged in, that's being charged. So although there are many different lights, many different expressions, it is one current. It is one grid.
No, you're to the side. You're off to the side. Let's see if you're there. There you are. You can come a little closer. Look at your way over there.
Well, just that because it looks silly. We got tissues.
Okay.
Oh,
Put them up top so we look up high.
Okay. So Zoe, I hope this answered your question. We can also look at your question a little bit more if you would like to at some other point in time. Okay, so you're right, Zoe. Thank you, Magdi. This is a clear suggestion, seeing that the silence appears to be healing and bringing. Yes, Zoe. Yes. Hello, Ananda. So you're right. My friend Marguerite is here for the hangout. Hello, Marguerite. Yes. She has something to talk about. She notices that during dreaming, she finds herself wondering what is real. The happenings in the dream? ? In the waking state, the dream material may return and may seem important. In fact, am I in the dream or am I waking in this moment?
Yeah, pretty close.
Yes. So that's interesting, Marguerite, at least the way Ananda wrote it. He says that during dreaming, I'm assuming a night dream, that...
No, actually, it was a day. It was in the daytime and I was walking. I was in nature and
Okay.
I kept on going in and out of dreams from, like, I didn't even remember, like, long time ago dreams. And I was sort of floating in this place between the reality of it and the dream world of it, and I hadn't experienced that before.
Mm-hmm.
It was quite delightful.
Yes.
A little strange.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Is that like a real place?
Well, let's look at it. In this moment, you are perceiving a perception, yes?
Yeah, probably.
Well,
Perception.
you're perceiving something, yes? You have a perception right now, yes? There is a perception right now, yes?
Yes.
What makes this perception different from a dream perception?
There's curiosity when I'm awake. There's more curiosity as to what I don't know and what I want to know, and
I'm asking a simple question. Like right now, you have a perception, right?
Mm-hmm.
Perceiving the screen, you're perceiving the wall, you're perceiving the table, you're perceiving Ananda, maybe, I don't know. What makes this perception different from a dream perception? Okay, let's say you are in a dream, right? Let's say you are perceiving a dream. When you're perceiving, I don't know, that you're perceiving a lake with beautiful flowers that are surrounding the lake, and it's an image that's arising in your dream. What makes that image in your dream different from the image that you are having right now? Well,
it's more fluid. It seems like it goes in and out of reality, and then I get to check that reality place. There's a fluidity to it. So then I'm like, wait a minute, where am I? That's sort of what was going on.
Right. Where am I? So in the waking state, you're perceiving a perception, but you know where you are. You know you are sitting in the couch or sitting on the floor, whatever you are looking at an object. So you know yourself to be. You're not even thinking about it, right? Because it's just happening without much thinking. You just know that you're here and you're real, and this perception is real. In the dream, the body, Marguerite is dissolved, right? There is no Marguerite.
Mm-hmm.
So the body isn't there, but there is still mind. There is still an image arising. There's still a dream world. The mind is still there. The body is not there. And maybe the bodily sensations are not there, but the mind is still there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we could say that the difference between the dream and the waking state is that in the dream, the body is dissolved, but the mind is not dissolved. In the waking state, both the body and the mind are not dissolved. They're both there. Could we say that? Could we agree on that sort of, a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So now you are walking in the garden,
Mm-hmm.
and the sense of you, the sense of me, the body, somehow it becomes less solid, let's say, less material, less physical. And now the image that you're perceiving, is there, but you, that part of you that is the meat of body is less there. So it's more like dreamlike, yes?
Yeah, yeah.
So we could say that in your experience, it's possible, and I know it's possible in many other cases, but just speaking about your question, that it's possible for you in the waking state to be, as a body, as a person, more absent. I mean, usually we are present, but there can be examples and situations where the body is more absent than present, and then, although the mind, because the mind is still here, it's dreamlike.
That describes it, you know, pretty much. Yes.
Yes. So in terms of my question about this, I would just come to the conclusion, based on my experience, that's very interesting, that this body that I believe to be so physical, so real, so solid, I have evidence that sometimes it's not. not only in deep sleep, but also I'm walking in the freaking park, and that's why, and suddenly, like dreamlike, meaning the body sort of, you know, that's an interesting, it's an interesting understanding. Why? Because most often we take the body to be a fixed, rigid, solid me thing that's like unquestioned and unquestionable. And I'm noticing now that that's not true 24/7. Obviously, it's not true in deep sleep, and or in the night dream, the dream state. And now I know for myself that even in the waking state, there can be this sort of shift from this physical material reality, the exterior world is real and my body mind is real, to more fuzzy, dreamlike experience.
Okay.
And I'm just going to take it a step further, because in satsang it's an inquiry into our true nature. As you inquire deeper and deeper into what you truly are, besides Marguerite, besides a woman, besides the daughter of so and so, once you start contemplating what am I truly, and not all what the mind has sort of accumulated about what you are. In other words, you start peeling the onion, you will find this experience of the waking state being a dreamlike more and more your experience, and something else becomes more real than the world, which is awareness or consciousness. And that's really, really beautiful, because in believing that the body is real and being so identified with the body and the world being so real, there is a deep sense of separation and a sense of angst that accompanies that. And when we, in our contemplation of what am I besides all the dressing, what is my true nature, you come to realize you're causeless and effortless and freedom and happiness, and your universality, and not just your personality.
Thank you.
Okay.
Screen.
I have something I wanted to mention, to ask about today. This I noticed. I noticed very little difference between when I sit to be sitting, to be quiet, to meditate, and when I'm not, so that sometimes I'm planned to sit. I even have a group where people all around the world, and we sit it happens to be noon my time, which is ideal time for me. And then I'm just, I'm interested, maybe I just read your last post, or, making another cup of coffee. I don't feel much. And then when I actually do sit, it's pleasant, and it's very nice, but it doesn't seem to be any shift or have something to teach. And so I kind of wonder about your experience, and just maybe for the sake of resonating or comparing, is if you sit so-called meditating or just sit without thought, do you feel more free than when, or is there really no difference basically at all?
First, let me say, Ananda, that if when you are sitting, and you're saying when you are sitting or meditating, or when you are in the world, it's the same.
Mm-hmm.
As long as it is happy and free and peaceful and angst-free, that's great. But
see.
if they're the same, they're the same misery.
No.
So, but I'm understanding your question, and
Okay.
what matters is that, not that it's the same or not the same, but what matters is that you're experiencing the peace, the inner tranquility, the clarity, the transparency, whether you're sitting or not sitting, or whatever you're doing. Now, your question now addressed to the second part of your question.
Mm-hmm.
I don't sit. I don't not sit.
Mm-hmm.
When the me impression is no longer on board, it's really hard to describe it in words. Let's say that it is happiness across the board, causeless peace and happiness across the board. So there isn't sitting, not sitting, here or there, or any such things. The mind is no longer operating in that way. There is a divine order, and the bliss of the self is the experience of Sat-Chit-Ananda. It's, you could say, what it's like.
Well, when you say the mind, and this is you've mentioned this before in conversations, you said it's like the mind is it's a completely different thing. It's not what we thought of as the mind. Even it's like the mind is gone, so it's consciousness. I don't know. That's kind of where my contemplation is tending to be. Is like it's almost like letting the vasanas out of the body. It's kind of like letting the mind out of its assumption of what it is.
The mind is just your dream, and there is no such thing as a mind, in fact. So why trouble yourself with something that isn't.
Mm. Mhm. Right. Well, I mean, this sort of habitual way of sort of, I guess it's me impression and idea of a world, and mind is kind of the inhabitor of that, all that assumption. Then sure, if it all goes, when it all settles, then it's all settled.
Well, what is your experience of the mind, or of
Mhm.
mind? What is your experience?
Well, I suppose it would be almost anything, any kind of experience I could point to would relate, but I'm feeling that it's almost a commentator.
A commentator.
Yeah, that says, "Oh, even speaking spiritually or whatever, like, oh, sitting doesn't really much different than not sitting." So it's almost like a commentator that
So,
is still present.
okay, so something perceives the commentator,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because otherwise you couldn't say there is a commentator.
Right.
So something knows the commentator, or perceives the commentator.
Right.
So you look out the window and you perceive a bird, right? Something perceives the bird.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's something that perceives the commentator. Does it have any problem with the commentator?
No.
So you're okay with the commentator?
Well, it's like it's almost as if some of the life energy, some of the Shakti of consciousness itself is still invested in the commentator. So there's an awareness of the commentator, and there's a feeling like, whoa, there's a spaciousness which is just beyond this membrane or something that's yet.
So let me come back to the question again. Are you okay with the commentator?
To the extent that I'm not confused with the commentator, yes.
And to the extent that you are confused by the commentator?
That I am, if I am confusing myself, consciousness, with the commentator, or that mind activity, then I still think
So sometimes you're okay with the commentator, sometimes you're not okay with the commentator.
well, like, for example, this
This
is like sitting. Actually, rather than sitting, I find that if I wake up, like I wake up in the morning and I'll stay in bed and feel I'll say the commentator has almost nothing to say, but it's just those little inklings of a thought coming. And it's kind of pleasant to see, oh, I'm not conditioned by that. I'm not confined by it, nothing. So in a way, that's a place where I would say I'm practicing meditation in a sense.
Yes. And
it's not a problem because the commenting function is so weak or spacious.
that's good. That's good.
I'm not buying it,
And
and when I'm talking with you, I'm not buying it generally very much either.
okay, so it sounds like sometimes you're okay with the commentator and sometimes you're not okay with the commentator. or maybe
Okay, well, no, let me put this.
maybe you're okay when there is no commentator, and you're not okay when there is a commentator.
That's more or less it. But what intrigues me is when you say something like, "Oh, when the ego, when the me impression is really seen through," you say, "Oh, mind is just it's completely different. It's not even mind. It's not the mind that you thought." And so I'm kind of describing the mind that I still find
Okay.
in distinction to that no mind.
Okay. I have to be careful. Some questions I should answer from you because they create a dichotomy. But it's all right. Listen. So, so you perceive mind at some time, and sometimes you like it, sometimes you don't like it.
Okay.
Yes, that's tolerable. Okay, so when you're okay with the mind that you're perceiving,
Mm-hmm.
when you're okay with whatever experience you're perceiving,
Mm-hmm.
all is well, right?
Yeah.
So the issue is when you're not okay with what you're perceiving.
Right. The issue is, yeah.
So when you're not okay with what you're perceiving, then at that moment, you, which is the okayness, you're the okayness,
Mhm.
right? Now you have a condition, right? I mean,
Yeah. It's like it's a condition. Yeah.
you have a condition that if this was different, whatever that is,
Mm.
then you will be back to okay,
Yeah. Okay.
right? And because this condition is there,
Mm-hmm.
it's a little bit messed up.
Yeah. There's a sense of a problem. Yeah.
Right. But when the condition isn't there, you're okay.
Right.
So it seems that the crux of the issue is the condition.
Yeah. It is, and that's what I'm complaining about. Isn't the perceptual field or the nature of the thoughts particularly? It's more the fact that I'm still plowing in that.
Okay, wait. But you are placing some condition. You're saying, well, I wish this was a little different or whatever. You're placing some sort of condition that I don't want that to be this way. I want it to be different, right?
The thing that I want to be different is my investment.
Yeah, whatever you call it.
I want to withdraw my investments.
Right. You want something to be different.
Okay.
Now, what if somehow that wanting it to be different,
Mhm.
you're so disinterested in it.
Disinterested?
Disinterested.
Okay.
So disinterested that it sort of comes and lies down at your feet.
Yeah.
Not just theoretically, because the crux of the issue seems
Right.
that you have some condition.
Right.
It's possible for that condition to, you take a shot of vodka and maybe that you forget about that condition. Now suddenly you're okay. I mean, so can you be open to the possibility that this condition doesn't have to be running the show?
Yes. Yeah, I'm open to the possibility.
That you can rest, you can be okay right in the heart of the situation, whatever situation is,
Right.
without this condition. But this condition doesn't need to really be the party pooper.
Right.
Now you need to understand that
Mhm.
this condition has behind it a me which is just a thought,
Right.
memory, or a feeling or a sensation
Right.
that if things were different, I would be in Sahaja Samadhi.
Okay.
So there is this thought, this I thought, that refers to some real entity while it's not real.
Right.
Because the thought comes and goes. How can it refer to anything real?
Right.
Only consciousness is real, never comes and goes. So there is this I thought that occasionally arises that seems to be speaking about some real entity, which is me. And that I can be experiencing a certain situation that previously I had resistance to. I can experience it void of resistance.
Right.
But I'm not talking about changing the situation.
Right. You said last time, I think in our conversation, you said, if you do this, then you can eventually say, is that all you have to throw at me? It's like, is that it? So, but go ahead. This is great.
So basically, you are inviting yourself. You're inviting yourself because you are yourself. You say, hey, listen, Ananda, I'm inviting myself to be with the situation that I was with yesterday or a minute ago with the condition.
Yeah.
Be with it without the condition, because that's the crux. That's what really seems the issue. Not so much the situation, but my condition, my resist, my condition.
Yeah.
Yes. So I invite myself. That's important, because when you invite yourself, it's very different from somebody else invite you, because somebody else invites you, they can withdraw the invitation, right?
Right.
It's not in your hands. It's in your hands to withdraw your own invitation. It's up to you.
Right.
But it's in your hands.
Right.
Right?
Okay. Right. It's getting a taste of that freedom, freedom.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, why give that up?
Actually, that is freedom. That is freedom. I am free to invite myself and say yes, and I'm free to invite myself and say no, but it's in my hands. And it would make sense to invite yourself and say yes, because without the condition, remember, things were okay, which means happy.
Right.
So it makes sense to say yes to the happiness.
I just have a little example while you're having to sit there. I went to a thing, it's called Love Choir. It's something in our town. Love Choir's gone on for 18 years. And they do performances around town. They do at a community event or something. So what's coming up is the Beatles sing-along. And so it's a very, very, a very loving and enthusiastic group. And I actually knew all the songs, so I went to their rehearsal, and at first I felt a little uncomfortable, because I knew a couple people but not many, and I don't know. I felt kind of like when in junior high school going to the dance. I was very uncomfortable. And then I think I did pretty much what happened was what you're describing. It was like, you want to have a problem with all this, or just be here. So it's a kind of like a contemplation that just goes like that, and suddenly I'm singing and having the greatest time without I don't know, I'll call it self-consciousness.
That's nice. That's good. I mean, these are little opportunities that we have that are presented to us. They're just really insignificant. It's no big deal, whether you have good time at the party or not. But there are opportunities for you to contemplate what would consciousness be like, going to a party. Consciousness would be. I'm nobody and everybody.
Right.
I am no one and everyone. I am nothing and I'm everything. I am the smartest and the stupidest. I go by no name, and yet I go by all the names. I go by no image, and yet I go by all images.
Right.
I am thou. I am everyone and everything. When I say hello to somebody, I'm saying hello to myself. And this myself may say hello back, may not say hello back. Consciousness doesn't give a hoot whether it's loved or not, because it is love itself. Freedom itself. Consciousness doesn't have a personal agenda of becoming popular or getting liked or getting appreciated or having a good time. No, because goodness is within itself. Happiness is within itself, within consciousness. It's not in anything else. So these are little opportunities that present themselves to you in life, that you can take these opportunities and not just take them lightly. Take every little opportunity to live them as consciousness, live them as the self. And this is how you slowly, the impression, the me impression starts to relax and dissolve.
And I guess since there's always an opportunity, even in a good, feeling good, even in a state of feeling good and feeling fine, if there's a sense that it could be more expansive, or you know what I mean, that if there's a sense that, I'm just thinking what meditation actually is kind of taking that. There's not even a situation, when you sit and meditate, there's not even, or sit, there's not even a situation to be bouncing off of or contemplating in relation to. There's just the very sense of, is there contraction here or is there none, almost?
But in life, in interactions,
yeah,
that's when you have the opportunities for all those vasanas to arise and release themselves.
Yeah.
In your meditation hall or in your meditation room, nobody's bugging you.
Right. It's just another approach. I mean, another thing to do or something.
I could say that the silent meditation at home or in the Zendo are little exercises, little preparations for the real task of living.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for your questions. So any questions?
No. I'm just soaking it all in.
Any questions?
Well, I realize it's a little past 3:30 already, but Marguerite does actually have something I think she'd like to mention.
Okay.
It's weighing heavy on me, and I have a depressed son, and I'm listening to you, and I'm wondering, would he hear a little nugget of truth that he could guide him out of his darkness? Or it's a long shot, I know, to reach him. It's his journey, but it's been going on a long time, and I have made a promise to myself that I will find him in his darkness.
I'm sorry, who are you talking about, Marguerite?
I'm talking about my son. He is depressed.
I'm sorry, okay, I didn't hear it. Yeah. Son, he is depressed, yes?
Yes.
Yes. Well, we send him a lot of love.
Thank you.
We send him the wisdom of the self, the light of the self. Sometimes, Marguerite, our path takes us in places that are difficult for the mind, difficult for the body. But there is something in those experiences that we may not understand or comprehend at the mind level. It's as if there is a cooking, it's being cooked at a different level. It's being dealt with at a different level. And on the surface, it's just difficult situations for the body and the mind, and we don't understand. All of us traverse, experiences like that, and it's very difficult at the time to really make any sense out of it. It's as if God is trying to punish us or something like that. We don't comprehend it. But God never punishes. It's always presenting opportunities, always blessing in everything that is unfolding in our life is meant to bring us to awakening. It's meant to help that seed within us that has a hard shell around it to soften. Sometimes it softens in some heat. Sometimes it's situations that are really rough on the surface, but they're very helpful at the deeper level. Like sometimes there is a storm and it is a lot of rain that beats the ground, but below the ground there are teeny tiny seedlings or teeny tiny shreds of fruits that somehow the earth soaks all that. It becomes muddy, but out of that there is a sprouting, there is an unfolding. It's important that you trust that and that you bring that understanding in your space, in your inner space, because your son will affect him. No need to even say a word, just by bringing this understanding in your space, because there is peace that comes with this understanding, because it is an understanding of an order that the mind cannot comprehend. It's a vaster order than what the mind tries to make an order out of the mind. And that is very helpful for your son.
Thank you.
There's a deep trust, because in your trust, you are connected to your son. We are all connected as one. And whatever we contemplate in our seemingly personal space is not so personal, especially when it's contemplating of the truth, contemplating of a wider reality than my mind. Then we really are touching each other in ways that the mind cannot understand. But it doesn't matter that the mind understands it or not.
Thank you. I know it's 3:30, so
Well, just wanted to mention, yes, thank you, Tara, that right, there is a day long retreat, Saturday, April 14, which is next Saturday, not this coming Saturday, the Saturday after that. If anybody is coming to the retreat, you can just go on my meetup or on my Facebook and let me know. Also, just a reminder of the June 4-day retreat in Costa Rica. It's June 16 to June 19, and also you can go to my meetup and sign up there. Just a reminder, the retreat cost is $450. That includes lodging and the meals, vegetarian meals.
Amazing.
Okay, so
in person and online.
very all. Thank you for your love and your love for truth and your friendship.
Thank you.
Namaste. Thank you all. Okay.
Namaste.
Bye. Okay.
Namaste.
Thank you.
Okay. Nice to see you all. Beautiful.